Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, everyone, the whole world, all the ships at sea, etc., etc. Welcome to the Funbox Monster Podcast. My name is Tristan.
And I am Matt Awkward, and we are now in lockdown.
I mean, Matt and I are like full on, like aggro at each other's throats, having a riot over the fact that Matt doesn't like this movie.
He does not.
This movie we are talking about is Rennie Harlin's Prison, which to me is one of the best movies ever made. Well, okay.
And I'm going to let you change my mind.
A dynamic entry into the world of American filmmaking by Rennie Harlin, just an absolute masterpiece as far as I am concerned.
I think this movie looks really good.
It does.
Unfortunately, I feel it goes at a snail's pace forever, and with entire characters that could just be cut out, and it is not...
I swear to God, if you want to cut lasagna,
I like lasagna.
Okay, good.
He's a goodie.
You gotta keep lasagna.
I could cut What's-Her-Face because the investigation goes nowhere. Every scene with her could be gone, and this movie would be fine. But we spend an extra, 20 minutes with her typing away at a computer, her just trying to leave the jail at night, her being there at the jail at breakfast for some ass reason. What was that?
I do have several issues with this movie.
Yep. And
one of which is, this is a prison that never closes its fucking gate.
Yeah. Except when somebody tries to get away.
What is going... They're like, oh no, we should probably close the gate. Someone's escaping.
Yeah.
How about just leave it closed?
Yeah.
Why is
That's
it open?
how prisons work.
It's a prison.
Hey, all these jail cells are open. Yeah, we'll lock them if somebody tries to escape. Duh.
Yeah, doy. Come on. I've been in a prison before. Yeah, so no, sure, there are issues.
I feel like there's no character to root for. Our main character, Vigo there, who I guess is our main cool prisoner guy, but he's not a cool prisoner guy. He's just a block of wood who's just like,
it is true.
I'm here. It's like, what are you here for? I guess you save somebody so you're noble, but I guess somebody says he's a car thief, but wouldn't you want a prisoner who was, wrongly accused of something, who's in the jail, who you can root for, and his backstory, and he's not supposed to be there, but he can use his cool skills to help everything. And
I mean, you need to know that he does understand everything about stealing cars, because
that's going to come in super handy.
Well, I mean, because a prison is nothing but a series of locks, just like a car.
Yeah,
a car's nothing but a series of locks.
The older, the easier.
Yeah, and this is the oldest prison there is.
The prison does look cool. I think the movie...
getting this setting...
The atmosphere is amazing.
My God.
Yep, the movie looks incredible.
This movie must have been creepy as shit to film, because they did film on location in a tumble-down, broken-down old penitentiary building. Yikers.
Music was great. Atmosphere is great. I think the
Ghostbusters lightning looked awesome.
That looked awesome. Yeah, the special effects were fantastic when shit happened. But man, I just didn't like it how it was one of those stories where it was you didn't even find out kind of what was going on until an hour into it, and then even then they're just I still don't get it.
It's funny that
why does this dude look like dude? Why does this where did this go anywhere? I don't know why the warden killed the guy. I don't understand the backstory. They say that other prisoner was that prisoner was there when he died, but what the hell would he have done anyway? He's a prisoner, I guess. So I just don't understand.
I think you're digging in too deep on the Vigo character, because really, I think literally the only deal with Vigo is that he looks like this guy, period.
Okay.
Totally coincidentally, he looks like the guy.
Then he's got to be the guy's kid. That's the rules when you do that shit in horror movies.
Fair. I mean, I definitely understand what you mean, but in this case, the only reason he needs to look like that is because that spooks the warden, setting off the events of the film. The only reason that the spirit escapes is because they break into the execution chamber.
Yeah, but that had nothing to do with Vigo looking like dude.
Well, I mean, it did, because he started getting wiggy. As soon as he saw a guy that looked like the guy he killed, spoiler alert.
Yep.
He's like, oh shit, something's going on. And he started getting weird, and he had Vigo break into the execution chamber.
And why did he kill the other guy? There was that old man that it was explaining to the girl the newspaper article, and like none of it made any sense to me.
We'll get to it, but okay. I mean, that was also that was one of those things where they didn't feel like saying it. I would have loved a flashback.
Yeah,
I would have absolutely loved it. But I mean, either way, he basically killed a prisoner out of anger, like just because he's a dickhead.
Yeah, he is.
And then he was like, "Oh shit, I got to cover this up." This prisoner, the guy who he's talking to, whose name is in my notes, but is so weird that I cannot remember it. The old black man.
The guy that shot himself in the foot?
Yes.
Okay, yep.
Whose name is Clint something.
I don't know. They mumble worse than a Robert Eggers movie.
Weird.
I can't understand him half the damn time.
His name is Croesus.
Okay. Who named these people? These Croesus, Rhino, Lasagna.
Croesus is great.
Yeah.
Rhino and Lasagna, feels like some sort of like Garfield Spider-Man crossover. I'm really into it. I don't know. Let's go through it.
Okay.
I've got literally 7 pages of notes here.
I've got 7 pages of anger.
Yeah, you do.
No, not really. I mean, that's not that bad. But no. It definitely did not grab me, and I really didn't enjoy it that much. I liked it a little bit more my second, which is very odd. But my first watch through, I was just like, oh, my God. And then I paused it, and I noticed that there was still an hour left. And I was like, you got to be shitting me. I felt like it was almost like getting there. Like,
you know what this movie needed? It needed naked shower scenes.
It did. It needed babes. It needed humor.
Well, I mean, honestly, if it had just gone straight up dudes, it would have been fine too. I'm shocked that they didn't do that. I think probably he would have wanted to do it because you can't have ladies showering because there's no place for it. So
I love
whatever.
that I read in the trivia section they were going to have the one actress we have do a bath scene, and she refused. So the only part that good for her. The only part that it could have been is in the hotel when she was like, you know, there's that scene of her drying her hair. Like they just wanted to put a nude scene right there out of the blue. Like that would have been so wonky.
I'm sure it was a producer thing. I'm sure it was not the director.
Far be it for me to complain about female nudity, but just like imagine how out of place that would be if it just went to like a bath scene.
It would be insane. I think it would take away from the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so one of my favorite things, I love this intro. I think it's great. It's another one of those like fun, like director trying to do something that's like, hey, how could you do this? Like today we take this kind of shot for granted where it's like you could have been wearing a GoPro on your head for this shot.
Oh, yep.
But it starts off and we see cuffed hands. So we're in POV of the prisoner. Cuffed hands are out in front of the camera and you're like, wait a minute. If you've got a giant camera rig, how are those hands getting there? You couldn't put them around that thing. So clearly they did 2 different hands of somebody and they had to get them out underneath the thing because they're still handcuffed together.
I didn't even think
so
of that. So
there's probably 2 dudes.
I just took it for granted.
I bet there's 2 dudes who were literally on either side of that camera rig.
Yep.
And we're like walking along with the camera for that that entire hallway shot because unless they could like unclick the handcuffs somehow and they didn't have like silently get them off their hands because I don't know. I thought that was a really fun idea. Either way, we are in POV, so we're the prisoner. It's a choose your own adventure.
Yes, this movie definitely did feel like I was in jail and I couldn't get out anywhere.
We're cuffed. We walk down the hall. The warden signs us out, and we unlock a gate where we meet a famous actor, and we're like, "Oh shit, famous actor! Shit's gonna go down." That is, of course, Lane Smith from every movie ever made, including My Cousin Vinny and like 50 other things.
Never heard of him.
Really weird.
Yeah, I don't watch real movies.
That's fair. So, unfortunately, we chose the wrong page in this Choose Your Own Adventure, and they lead us down to the electric chair. And then the guard, who is our main character, who will later be the warden, steals our crucifix, which I think is a common thing that they do because it sets fire to your clothes or something if it starts sparking. Yeah. But either way, we move out to third-person perspective now, and nobody's called, so the warden throws the switch, and the prisoner starts catching fire anyway.
It seemed odd, too, at the timing. Usually, like, in all these, they work till, like, midnight.
Yeah.
Like, 11:45, 45, yeah, close enough.
Well, I mean, again, it points towards the fact that the warden's like, we need to execute this guy before somebody finds out that he's innocent.
Yeah.
You know, so...
And I want to make last call.
I mean, they're in Wisconsin, Wyoming.
Wyoming. Yep.
What is last call in Wyoming?
I don't know.
I doubt they even have one.
Never go there again.
I hope I never find out.
No offense to all of our Wyoming listeners.
Wow, really? You've been to Wyoming
I've
and
been
you
to
didn't
Wyoming.
like it?
I did not.
It would be fun to go if you didn't expect to have any nightlife or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are cities that you can go to.
We went to the
Wyoming.
capital and it was...
Nothing but Buffalo.
Nothing but Buffalo. And the pinball arcade. That was not that great.
Oh. Literally, you went to their Congress and you're like looking around in the Senate building. You're like, what? Just nothing but Buffalo.
Yep. It was weird.
Wow, amazing.
But no, yeah, when we were out in Colorado, we took a day trip out to Wyoming just because we'd never been.
Yeah, I know nothing about it other than the fact that you could see a buffalo there.
Yeah, landscape's pretty.
Yeah. Interesting. Anyway.
Too many damn buffalo.
Too many damn buffaloes. Okay. So, Lane Smith, our warden, he wakes up in a sweat. We're now sometime in the future, and he's acting as though he was the one who was being electrocuted. And it turns out that, the state paying people to kill people is damaging to human psyches. Yeah, and it might not just be about the people that are dying. They might also want to consider the fact that you're forcing another human being to kill a human being.
Yeah, killers are people too.
Yeah. So his brain is messed up, but he deserves it.
You also get those tales from the crypt levels of guilt too when you're killing people wrongly.
That's so true.
I mean, I'm sure you get those levels of guilt when you're killing people what the state says rightly.
Right, but
wrongly adds like another level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you're doing it on purpose to hide a crime.
You know you're kind of shitty.
Yeah. And that's the funny thing about this character is that I think he somehow doesn't think that he's shitty. Like, where everyone's the hero of their own story.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's just like he is completely in denial the whole time.
Of his shittiness.
That what he did was wrong, which I think is a perfect character choice.
But he's such an a-hole.
For a cop who is like, yeah, I killed a criminal. Fuck him. Which totally jives with my personal opinions.
And, I lost my train of thought here. But, yeah, he's a good character as far as a-holes go. Like, yeah, he's a baddie. He
is a baddie. And speaking of the fact that he is very good at being a baddie, there is not a single bad actor in this movie. Maybe the female lead. She's not 100% Catherine.
Oh, I forgot about her.
Yeah, of course you did, because she doesn't need to be in the movie.
At all.
No, she does not.
There's 20 minutes of fluff that just... cut it out!
I
would have liked this movie a lot more if it was like an hour 20 minutes instead of that hour 45. Like,
it's so strange. I mean...
I don't feel like it's needed. Just like, give me a quick, tight ghost story.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that her parts feel like they were like, my God, there isn't a single woman in this movie. We gotta do something. Come on.
But it's like she's trying to uncover this or getting visions of like this thing that happened in '64, but like that could have all just been told to us in the damn flashback. Like, and then it's like nobody needs to uncover the mystery. We don't need we just know that this guy died wrongly. This guy was set free from the electric chair. Now his spirit's in the jail. That's all we need to know.
Yeah, it's true. I agree. I definitely differ with you in the fact that I like the pace that they uncover the mystery at. I thought it was actually well done. Mm-hmm. And even though I had seen it before in the past, it's been a long time since I've seen this movie. Watching it again, I was surprised. Like, I was like, oh yeah, okay. Oh, that's what they're doing. Okay, I see what's going on here. Because I was like, oh, right. When you find out that Croesus is involved as well, you're like, oh, that's kind of an interesting take. I don't know. I felt like he did a really good job of making a good prison movie and a good horror movie and putting them together, as opposed to just making a horror movie and setting it in a prison.
Yeah.
It definitely is also, it's a Cool Hand Luke kind of movie as well.
Well, that's
and those parts work.
Well, that's another point where it's unfair for me to judge the movie that much because I don't like prison movies that much. So, like, it's not like a genre that I really enjoy.
Like, if this was a heist movie, I would have been like, fuck this thing.
See, I kind of like
I can't do heist movies for one reason or another. They just wig me out. I don't like them. I find them too stressful, just in general. Anyway, okay. So we close in on this pendant, and we cut to a board meeting for the prison. They are having budgetary issues.
Oh, interesting.
The only woman at the table or in the entire movie asks the table passionately if they could just finish this newly designed humane prison that could actually help people and get them moving towards an actual real world skill and get them out of the prison system forever. And they say, no thanks. No. Instead, we're just going to send them to the falling apart prison that's full of asbestos and death.
I don't think that's possible. Like, that prison was so shitty and not ready to be lived in. And they were just like, there you go. Floors flooded, debris everywhere. God, that place must have been gross.
Like, for the people who were filming, it must have been awful. But yeah, it is too much, and there were a lot of moments that I was like, it felt like he wanted to set this movie. Here's what I would have liked. Mm-hmm. I would have liked this movie to be set in the 20s. Because if you saw this in the 20s, I know that you couldn't have this. The actual technology and the world of that thing, the bars look wrong and all that kind of stuff. Yep. So that would ruin it. But it's like, it felt like as a modern-ish movie, it lost something when they're like burning all of their mattresses and things like that. It's like, no, there are people that are going to report this. Yeah. Like, there are people who are seeing this. Literally, she leaves and he's like, well, I took your report after the first guy dies. And she's like, no, there's no way I can get in contact with people without my report. Yeah. I saw a wrongful death and
nobody will believe me. It needs to be on paper.
They won't believe me if I haven't typed it out. Boo. That one I was annoyed by. But, okay. So, the shooting here is really artsy, and I don't understand why they did it. They did this thing where she's in the middle of talking, and a jet lands, and she's on the jet, and then she's back in the meeting again. And I was like, was that to indicate that she went to go look at the newfangled prison, but then had to leave? Because it then cuts to her in her car, driving to the old grotty prison.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Whatever. We find out that we're never going to get that prison, and we're getting the Angry Ghost prison. And also, they're going to recruit Sharp, this warden who's an old school guy who used to be the warden here. Like, they're bringing him back.
Why?
I don't know. They say that all he knows is what is that? All he knows is chain gangs and Tommy guns. Yeah. Which, again, if he is a guy who was back in the 40s or whatever, and he knows he did things that way back then and was, maybe it can excuse how insane he is.
Like, how did they just get him and know, too? Like, what is he even doing? Anything? Like,
I mean,
hey, this guy was a guard at that jail forever ago. He's a warden now.
I would have liked the scene when they pulled up at McDonald's and he's running the fry-later. And they're like, we need you. And he throws his hat down and he's like, thank God, I'm getting out of here.
We opened up the jail again. Hot damn. Yeah, strange.
Yeah, it is odd. But she's looking around the creepy old prison, and it is awesome. This place is so creepy that she's outdoors during the day, and the place looks terrifying. Mm-hmm. Like, that's really good setting. She goes inside, place is a wreck, all rusty, soiled mattresses, bed sheets everywhere, paint's peeling, and then we meet our warden for the first time by him clanging her into a cell. Why? No idea. Just to prove that he's also kind of he's not only a high-level asshole, like murderous monster, he's also a low-level, just kind of being a jerk asshole.
Yeah, he's just not fun. I would hate to meet this guy.
Yeah, exactly. But
and he does the second best performance of a warden ever. Second to Tommy Lee Jones in Natural Born Killers. Because I love that performance.
What about the warden in the Wendy O. Williams movie,
Reform Schoolgirls? Oh, who was that? Wasn't it Pat Ast? Was that who that?
Probably.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, she's great.
She's pretty amazing. Okay, so essentially what happens here is we get that old school, they meet up and it's like, oh, he's a hard ass and he's from the old school. She's a progressive and she wants people to be happy, but he knows that deep down everyone's evil. It's that kind of thing. So cut to some time later, place is all ready for inmates, but looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Because nobody's cleaned it, because the inmates are going to be cleaning it. That was his whole plan.
That's not a bad idea.
No. It's cheap labor.
Yeah. So what is interesting here, they bring like 5 or 6 busloads of inmates in all at once.
Unloaded.
Unchained.
Yep.
In the yard, just like, I mean, some of them have chains on their waists that don't connect to their wrists, which is very confusing.
And they leave the giant gate open, too.
They leave the gate open, of course. Well, they always do that. Which leads to a big issue here. So we've got, we also find out that Keanu's dad from Bill and Ted is a guard, and he's amazing.
That's where I recognize that guy from.
And all of the inmates are dressed in their street clothes still. Like, they didn't get dressed before getting to the prison. They do the whole suiting up thing here, which I don't think is how it goes. I also love the buses. They have that, like, horrific, like, there's some sort of, like, weird civil rights era holdover thing to those buses that, like, gives them a bad vibe. When I look at those, I'm like, ooh, Alabama bus boycott. Like, ugh, that looks, there's something evil about them. So yeah, it's a crazy little thing, but we're introduced to all of our cool people. We find out that we've got a tiny Lister.
Yep.
Yay!
Love that guy.
We've got Strider himself, Viggo Mortensen, and we've got his roommate, who is a stock character from every prison movie in history. The wise old black man who's been in the system since God knows when, and he's gonna tell you he can get anything. He knows the root, he knows the whole deal, and he's just gonna educate whatever your main character is.
That's our Croesus.
That's our Croesus. Does anybody know what Croesus means?
Call in if you do.
Call in if you know what Croesus is. I don't know how to use Google. Anyway, so
we get a thrilling broad daylight
getaway
prison escape attempt.
Some 60s acid casualty named Rabbit, which is great that you name your one guy that tries to escape constantly Rabbit. It kind of gives up the game a little bit, but whatever. He steals one of the buses. He looks kind of like a young Mark Maron, which is weird.
He drives around in circles until eventually he's just like, oh shit, it's the warden. He's going to throw his suit coat at me. I better stop.
That was good. Well, I mean, it does. I think it shows. They do a really good job of showing how most of the inmates who are here, there's almost nobody, with the exception of Rhino, in the cast who is an unrepentant monster. Rhino is the only unrepentant monster in the bunch, it seems like. Like, Tiny Lister has a heart of gold. Like, Lasagna has a heart of gold. Our main character has a heart of gold. Pretty much everybody is good except for the guards and Rhino.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah.
And so at this point, it's like, well, I'm not willing to kill a person.
Yep.
I just want to get out of here.
Yep.
You know, so I don't know. I think it does kind of set something up. And it also sets up what a fucking hard ass the warden is, that he just puts himself in front of the bus. Yep. So, but he does.
And he has that power to make him stop. And he chucks his little suit coat. Here's my blazer.
It's pretty good. He gets into the bus and he's like, "You boys can either get out of the bus or you can get dragged out of the bus. It's your choice."
And then he goes and punishes everybody. Like, super big time for these. Here's one of the things in these kind of movies. Like, I know what they're doing with it, but it's the same reason that I don't enjoy Street Trash 100%. Because it's just like, man, it's just homeless people with nothing. And then they're just getting dicked around constantly. Like, this sucks. Now it's like all these prisoners in, like, the worst dump in the world. And they just got there. Yeah. And he's just like, all right, none of y'all get any mail or visits for 6 months.
Well,
even though none of y'all did anything except these two a-holes. Like,
here's the problem. They combined something that doesn't make sense for me. So if you're going to do that, this is a thing they do in army movies, and maybe in the army in general, who knows, but where they're like, okay, looks like Private whatever the fuck his name is screwed up, and you're all going to get, 5,000 push-ups, and you're going to eat shit for 2 days, and he's getting nothing but Sundays. And so they just, treat him like gold so that everyone on the base wants to murder him. And it ruins his entire life and drives him completely insane. In this case, they punish everyone, but the guy's in the hole, so there's nothing.
Yeah.
Their hatred means nothing.
Yep.
It doesn't do the thing that it's meant to do. So he's already suffering. And the other thing is that if you put someone in isolation for 6 months...
Oh, they're crazy.
They are going to lose their mind.
Yeah.
And also, he's probably going to die of exposure as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
especially since the floor was flooded.
Yeah, that did push my suspension of disbelief in this movie just a little bit, even in a ghost movie where you're like, well, it's like if he was like, oh, go down there, we're going to cut his legs off or something. And you're like, wow, that doesn't seem like something that he could do.
Don't they mention something about the flooded floors too? Where he's like, the floor's been flooded since this, as if that's an okay thing.
Right. Yeah, it's standing water that's been there for 100 years.
Yeah,
so
it's been there forever. So
it's going to be
don't
fine.
worry about it.
The other part that's confusing is because I assume because they shoot these, not in the same locations, but they're like, okay, open the gate. It's all flooded on this floor. Now get into your prison cell that is not flooded at all. Are you stepping up a foot? What's going on there? I don't know what's happening, but no. So, okay. We finally get the new inmates out of their street clothes. Vigo steals the piece of contraband, so they say, you can't have this poster of lasagna.
They take lasagna's poster away.
And Vigo, as soon as he sees that the guards are distracted by a fist fight or something, he snags it and puts it with his towels and his clothes and whatever, takes it out and gives it back to lasagna because he's a nice guy. Mm-hmm. So, yes, Joe Lazaro, a.k.a. Lasagna, he sees Vigo, and he's like, wait, hey, aren't you that celebrity car thief from that reality show about car thieves?
Yeah, exactly. Where would you know this guy from?
Look at how fucking handsome that dude is. You think you wouldn't know who he was? Remember there was that dude who was just like...
Oh, the model. I do remember that.
That guy who was just like, I killed 17 ladies.
But he was all over the news and everything.
Everyone was like, "Oh my!"
I don't think he was a killer.
No, he was not.
Okay.
He was a petty thief.
I think he was a car. I think he was a sexy car thief.
I bet he was a
that everybody knew about.
Thief.
Yeah.
His name was Viggo Mortensen.
He could steal anything and drive it to heaven. Is that what Lasagna says?
He had that line was terrible.
Yeah, he's like, I heard you can drive. I heard you can unlock anything and drive it away to the heavens or something like that.
I generally take the roads, but I kind of get what you're saying. Anyway,
travel the Thelma and Louise highway.
Oh, that's right. So we see our two guys, the one who actually stole the bus and the poor dude who just got totally shafted. I will say this is another thing that it's almost a problem. The fact that this ghost keeps murdering people.
Why is this ghost killing everybody?
Why is he killing inmates?
Thank you.
He should only kill guards. But then the idea being that he's not a person. You know what I mean? That he's no longer in control. He's just a malevolent spirit, and he's
that's
causing
another thing.
chaos now.
When they start cracking this case and digging into it, it's like, oh, he was killed, but he was wrongly accused. Mm-hmm. Okay, that might have been true in life. Now he's just an a-hole.
Now he's just an asshole. Exactly.
So it's like I don't feel any
no
for the ghost to do its thing. When this could have been a cool ghost getting revenge on all the jerks, he's just killing people willy nilly.
I agree.
Which is weird.
And even the guy that just wants to talk to him.
Yeah.
Boo.
Well, that I could understand. He summoned him.
It's true.
Nobody wants to be summoned.
That is true. Okay. So, the whole metal box, no windows, awful. So, we find we get introduced to all of our little roommate situations, and we see a weak young kid who's roommates with a giant dude named Rhino. We know the deal. It's a prison. I love the fact that they don't spell it out. Yep. Thank you. Clearly, there's a horrible assault going on here. We don't need to know about it, and they don't dwell on it. You get the hints, and that's fine by me.
Little dude will get his.
He sure does. And he has a great moment.
And I did love that
when
part.
Rhino gets fucking murdered.
Yep.
He was just like, fuck him.
Fuck him.
Which was the best. Okay. So, Tiny Lister is introduced here.
He's bunking with lasagna.
He's bunking with lasagna, and lasagna's putting up his Rambo poster, which, if it's contraband, it's literally on your wall.
Yeah.
How are they not going to notice that? Boo. Anyway.
Lasagna.
Okay, so...
Should be a spin-off sitcom. That's my lasagna.
Yeah, we go to Vigo's room, and he's roommates with the old man who's seen it all, and he's been drinking Lysol since 1949.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that's what he said. I've been drinking Lysol since 19...
That he was trying to pour with his shaky hands? What?
Yeah, no wonder.
Where do you even get Lysol? That's contraband.
It's delicious contraband. So they close down the block for the first night. The warden's wandering the halls looking spooky. He's back in his old guard uniform, so we've gone back in time. And he's going to go look at the corpse of the man that they executed in that cold open. Of course, the guy comes back to life.
And of course, it's another dream.
It's another dream. He strangles him, and he wakes up choking because he's being strangled in the dream.
It's like, I wish I didn't kill people.
But
I kind of enjoyed it.
But it turns out he was asleep at his desk with his gun in his hand. And he wakes up, grabs his gun, points it at the first person he sees, which is his first person in command, whatever that guy's name is, the head of the guards. And he's like, give me the electrical blueprints for the entire prison.
Is that what he says?
I think that's what he says.
Okay.
Something like that.
All I heard was...
He definitely said blueprints. I don't know if it was electrical, but it sounded like electrical.
This movie, I feel, has a problem with the dialogue sometimes, where it's hard to hear, hard to make up. During the scene...
Admittedly, I watched it on a very fancy-pantsy Blu-ray, so...
Nice.
Yeah.
There was no subtitles on my tape. The scene with the mirrors near the end, where they were talking through the jail cells with the mirrors, like, I couldn't make out, like, yes, we got to close up. The dialogue... That's all I could hear. Like, damn it.
Is mixed so low in this movie.
Oh, right?
So
and then when the
low.
music kicks in, or things explode, okay, that's not just my copy.
No, it's not.
Okay.
No, I had my TV up to, like, 70, I think, out of 100. So, yeah. Very, very low. Okay. So they have a little conversation about the fact that the warden's not sleeping well, just to point out all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. Vigo's out in the yard, and he's drawing a key in the dirt.
What the hell was up with that? I was trying to make sense of that. And Lasagna comes over, and he's like, hey, what's that? I saw you drawing a key. It's like, yeah. I drew a key in the sand. It's how I'm going to get out of here, I guess.
Yeah, I got to admit, this one I did not follow either. Like, maybe he's such a savant with locks that he's like, I think I know what this one looks like. And he's like, there's a little valley there, and there's a hill there, and a bigger hill, and I don't know. Who knows?
And now I just need to make this key materialize. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Either way. So Keanu's dad hands out some pickaxes and sends Vigo and some others down to the basement.
What the F? Like, all these guys are hardened criminals, right? I mean, that's why they're in this dangerous place. And they give them all spike axes?
They aren't even, their legs aren't chained.
Yeah.
Their hands aren't chained. They're just like, here,
have an axe.
The most dangerous thing
have an axe. Here's an axe
on
for
the planet.
Axe for you. Axe for you. Everybody just lines up and gets their spike axes.
There are so many moments in this movie, like when Vigo and the guy go down to the basement, that they're just like crowded into an area where the cop doesn't have a gun, he doesn't have anything. He's just like in there in a tiny little room with two dudes with massive deadly weapons.
Just waiting to start a game of Manhunt. Yeah.
It does not make any sense. No, those moments definitely stand out like a sore thumb. And there's a bunch of them where it's just like, this is bad form for the guards. But again, everybody here's got a heart of gold.
The jail's just started, too. I mean, they'll figure out along the way.
Even at the end, when everything has gone to hell, Tiny Lister doesn't want to hurt the guard.
Yeah.
That, honestly, I'm not going to lie, that pissed me off. Taking out Tiny Lister pissed me off. Yep. I wanted him to survive that shotgun blast. Yeah. I wanted him to just be like, man, fuck it, brush it off. Yeah.
Even if he didn't, we wouldn't know if he was still alive or not.
Exactly. We don't know
what happens. This movie's just like, F you. What happens to the rest of the 100 prisoners?
Admittedly, for a movie that is ostensibly about the humanity of people in dire situations who may be accused by the government of certain things, it's like, okay, we're done. These two characters that we like are done, and everybody else...
And these two characters technically just broke out of jail, so they're probably just going to go right back in.
Right. No,
What's-her-nuts is going to get a bit charged with aiding and abetting an escape.
Oh, absolutely. I think we really could have used an ending like Animal House, where we got little title cards coming up so that everybody's like, Tiny Lister got out next on a technicality, whatever. He now raises fucking puppies in Anaheim. I would have loved that.
Yeah.
Or just like a moment where they're like, turns out that if you go through something like this, there's a clause that you all go free, and everybody jumps up in the air and raises their fist, and they all like freeze frame.
Yeah.
And then it plays Walking on Sunshine, and credits roll.
I would have loved that.
Honestly, I would have too. I gotta say though, the ending of this movie, just the creature ending of this movie, is so spectacular. I love that thing so much.
Yep.
Oh my God. One of the most, it's so good that it pisses me off that it wasn't used more. Like, I would have loved him to show up like that again and again.
Imagine seeing that coming at you in a hallway shot. Like,
that's the thing, is that like it was outdoors, so it almost wasn't as effective.
If that popped up in the hallway, it just filled the whole space of the hallway. Yeah,
just like pants shittingly terrifying. Yep. Absolutely. So good. Okay, so they're picking away at the entrance to the execution chamber.
And why are they doing this? Nobody's going down there. It's not like they're reopening that room to do electrocutions, but the warden's just like, I need you to go uncover that murder room I used forever ago.
It is very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange.
That's what we got.
I could definitely feel, I could see what the point might be, where he's like, oh, I'm having bad dreams, and the only way I can do it, like, there's something about the spirit that's like driving him to do it, and he doesn't realize it, like a Pet Cemetery situation.
That would have worked, yeah.
It's eating at him, and it's like, if only I could get into this thing, then these bad dreams would go away.
Yep.
I would have loved a little bit more text to explain that, where it's just like, I know that these dreams are going to end if I can just see that room again.
Yep.
And it's just the spirit fucking with him, and then it gets out, and then, hell breaks loose. But everything's fine. They're doing some really realistic pickaxe work there.
Yeah.
They clearly had a big concrete wall that they were busting into.
Oh, no. Talking's fun. They were able to do a lot at this prison set because it was actually a lot of it was set for demolition.
Right.
So they were just like, who gives a shit? Wreck
exactly.
it. So they were able to just smash shit like this. Yeah. That gate that the bus drives through did not exist. They cut that to make that gate.
That makes sense.
Yep.
That's probably why the secondary gate that they smashed through was probably just the gate that they made.
Yeah, quite possibly,
that would make sense. Because I didn't understand what that was.
No. I think that might have been the actual wall, or they just nailed up some 2x4s for shock. But that whole sliding metal gate thing for the bus, that they made that gate.
Right. I was just assuming. Well, yeah, but I didn't understand what they busted through then.
Yeah, some wood.
Sure. While the gate was closed, a bunch of people made another wooden gate.
Yes,
behind that one.
It's a fail-safe because they're really good about closing gates around here.
Sure. That's great. Why not?
Yeah, what the fuck was that thing?
No idea.
I would really like to know.
Son of a bitch.
Is it wood?
Is it wood? The boiler starts blowing fireballs out of it. Shit explodes. Vigo is nearly sucked in. Windows blow out. And then all of a sudden, everything goes back to normal. But
they lost their power, right?
Yes.
During this? Yep, okay.
And also, there's a hole burned in the door upstairs. Like the one that they came through is now a burning hole where the spirit blasted through the door, which is great. Okay. So there's this... The guy that is helping Vigo dig through this thing, he is, I assume, a Santeria practitioner. He's like a movie shorthand for voodoo or something. Like it's just whatever in the 80s. They're like, black guy with religion that isn't Christianity.
He's got
cool. It's
he's
spooky.
got lots of candles
whatever.
and necklaces and bones. Yep, exactly.
It's just some sort of I don't know what I'm talking about bullshit. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. Well, we'll call him the religious guy then. The religious guy keeps saying, "I shook its hand," which is creepy.
Yeah.
I love that line. They're all fucked up. Like they're got like burns and stuff smashed up in their faces. So they go to the infirmary, and Catherine, the only woman in the movie, is in the infirmary for some reason. I guess because she's going to be the nurse.
Oh, we skipped over the part where the guy burned to death during this. That was all this one scene, right? When they set the guy free, the other people got all screwed up in the containment units?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
No. He goes intentionally after them.
Oh, okay.
For some reason. But yeah, it's right here. So, but she and Vigo have a moment first where it's like, oh, look at this handsome, smooth criminal. My goodness.
I think I saw you on TV. That famous, sexy car thief.
I was on America's Most Wanted. I killed 3 children. Oh my.
Ooh la la.
3, you say? Okay, so down in the hole, the guy that didn't do anything is tormenting Rabbit by smoking cigarettes that he doesn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And the evil ghost guy just decides to cook this poor bastard alive, who's the only one who didn't do anything in this whole situation.
Yeah. He's a cool ghost.
No, he's
cool ghost. Cool.
He's an asshole ghost. This ghost punches down like big time. This ghost is like, I could go after the warden first.
Yep.
Why don't I just go after a bunch of people who are probably wrongly accused?
Yeah.
Cool. But he totally melts this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he is. This scene is incredible.
Oh, it's great.
The walls start heating up and his sneakers start melting and they're just like turning into puddles of
and we
rubber
get this
on the
great
ground.
animatronic puppet made of the guy screaming in the flames.
Oh my god, yeah, like full on like the stuff level puppet of somebody's head melting. Which is funny because his head melts, but then he's kind of a brisket afterwards. He's like nice and crispy and delicious looking when he falls through the door.
Ghosts do that. That's how you can tell if a ghost set you on fire.
Because you
like
melt,
then you reform. Yeah. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, Vigo is of course our hero, so he's going to try to save the one guy who is not completely melted. He tries to save Rabbit.
Yep.
The other guy.
Too late.
Can't save him. He falls out of the place completely burned to a crisp. And then he goes after Rabbit. He manages to get through the door, pull Rabbit out before he's cooked alive. So he's a hero again. And we cut to him taking a sexy shower.
What's his name?
Vigo?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember. I just call him Vigo.
I don't either. And he's supposed to be like our main good guy character. It's just like,
whatever. He doesn't need a name. He's the man with no name. It's like a Clint Eastwood.
No, okay, cool.
He's a cool guy.
Then we get him taking a shower, and then the warden's all like,
why would you risk your life for a low life like Rabbit?
It's not going to help you at the parole board.
Are you sure?
Like, he can't even, like, fathom, like, just helping somebody out. He's just like, he must have did this for help. Not gonna work.
But also, it probably will help. It probably will help. Also, like, if your lawyer brings up the fact that you saved a guy's life in prison, that you risked your life to save a dude who was about to burn to death, I think it's gonna help your case. So, Lasagna's trying to be friends with Vigo, but Vigo's too cool to even be friends with people. Lasagna throws him a football, but he misses it, and it's caught by Rhino.
And then what's Rhino's deal here? What's he asking him for?
Okay, so Rhino is... I feel like these lines were written before anybody knew anything about what this prison was going to look like. Mm-hmm. Because this prison is too run down for the things that he's claiming that he runs. He's like, I need somebody to take care of my poker tables, my, like he's got this like list of things that he does
like
there.
He was kingpin in jail?
Right, exactly. Okay. Like it was like a real jail that might actually have contraband and might actually have things, whereas this looks like... It straight up looks like it's the 30s. Yeah. Like nobody has anything. If somebody gets a cigarette, they're lucky. Like this place is just garbage. But he's basically pretending to be the kingpin. And he's like, I could use a man like you in my organization. And Vigo's like, nah, no thanks. Yeah. And he's like, nobody says no to the Rhino.
So no football for you.
So you can't have your football back. And he's like, well, how about if I squeeze your testicles real nice?
Forever.
He's just crushing this man's
I love testicles. That Rhino's young manservant there carries that radio around too. Like, give me a soundtrack wherever I walk.
Yep, I like that too. But so he's tough enough to even stand up to the toughest guy there, Rhino, who I'm just going to say is not the toughest guy there. And if Tiny Lister decided to say anything about the order of things, I think this guy would be taken down very quickly.
He becomes paralyzed the minute you touch his balls. Like, he can't throw a fist or like punch the guy in the head or anything. He's just like, ow, my ball. I'm just going to stand here frozen like ice and go, ooh, 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 ow, ow, ow.
God, I
mean, yes, that would suck.
I am trying to picture what would happen, and I don't want to think about it.
We could try it after the show.
You know what? Maybe let's just do it right now on air. This is great. I'm actually really enjoying this. Yeah. I don't know what his problem was. Anyway, okay.
Moving on. Well, bring back the 80s high-pitched voice after ball injury joke. It was everywhere.
Don't we all miss it? So Rabbit's going to escape tonight. He tells Lasagna and Vigo. And Catherine's driving out. The warden steals her incident report on the accident. So there's no way she could replicate this anywhere else. It's only if it's typed on the computer that's there. We find out she has a computer in her fucking hotel later on. And it's like, even if that was the problem, you have one there, dummy. Oh, well. The other thing that's fascinating is this scene when everybody's just having a blast out. Like, all the cell doors are open and everybody's like, people are playing chess and they're like hanging out. Somebody's getting a haircut. They're like,
they got electric guitars in that jail.
It looks like, exactly, they've got a full band. It looks like it's a blast to be there in that scene. Every time everyone's out of their cells, this movie looks like a musical about people in prison. Like, it looks like everybody's about to start singing, or like they're going to start snapping their fingers and do a big musical number, because a lot of it's fairly staged looking,
Oh, especially the riot later.
Right. The riot looked a lot like a musical. Like, that was a West Side Story riot. Okay. So
gonna need all of you to throw tissues in the air a lot.
And if you could try to catch them, because we don't have a lot of tissue,
and toss them back up again.
try not to actually drop them.
Extra number 12, you're nailing it. Keep throwing that blanket.
Oh boy. So the warden goes down to confront his fears and open the execution chamber. He brings that crucifix that he stole, and he puts it on the chair, and the lights go out. Oh no. Croesus explains that he mistakes Vigo for this person. He freaks out and he's like, I knew you'd be back. Ah! And Vigo puts his glasses on and he's like, hey, man, it's just me. It's just your old pal Strider. I'm out here wandering around out in Mordor where the shadows lie. Come on, man.
Who is Strider? Who is is that Lord of the Rings?
Yes.
Okay.
Damn it.
I don't watch movies.
You Philistine. Okay. Warden orders a lockdown because the lights go out. Rabbit makes a run for it here. And because the power went out, this turns out to be the worst time for him to do this because they're doing a full-on body count of everybody in the prison. But
he somehow that religious guy covers for him.
Somehow the religious guy manages to cover for him.
With like the lamest excuse, like, he's tired, just let him sleep. I'm like, no, I need to hear his voice. That's how a head check works.
That's how this works. That's not like...
Oh, okay. Carrying on. Moving on.
He's hiding under the bed.
Yeah. He doesn't want to talk to you, but he's here.
He's painted like the wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, he gets out, and this is awesome. I love this kill so much. Great lighting. The way that the ghost chases him and the lights just kind of follow underneath the floorboards. And then the pipes start acting weird. They start cutting off his escape route. We just see like pipes coming from out of nowhere until eventually one goes right through his forehead. And everybody's like, I wonder if he made it out. They all start talking loudly about the escape that they're not supposed to know about at breakfast, which is also great. And Lasagna's eating his breakfast mashed potatoes.
I think those are grits.
Oh, sure. I call grits
breakfast
mashed potatoes. And he gets...
I'm going to myself now.
My breakfast taters. And he gets...
BMPs.
And we get a great scene. We get a great, like, Peter Jackson gross out scene.
Yeah.
Where he's just like not looking down at his food and eating his grits, and they're full of the blood that's pouring out of the light bulb,
which explodes.
Light bulb explodes. Floor then explodes, or ceiling.
Ceiling explodes. Yeah.
You know, one man's ceiling is another man's floor. But in this case,
in a high-rise prison,
it is a ceiling that explodes, and we get this just Hellraiser level of...
Oh, yeah.
It looked like Virus. It was just...
I love that movie.
So many pipes through so many parts of his body. It's just... And then he's followed by about 15 gallons of blood on the way down. So his body comes down pretty dry, and somehow the blood was elsewhere, and it just comes down. The whole effect is just magical. It is wonderfully gross and really cool. And it is also almost undeniably supernatural.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those moments where they're like, I wonder who did this. It's like...
Speak up. Who wrapped this guy in tons of cable in the ceiling and then made him drop out at breakfast?
And made the floor explode, and...
Yeah.
I don't know. Which reminds me, you know what this scene looked like?
What?
The scene that traumatized me as a kid in Superman 3.
I never seen it.
So much like that. Oh my God. The Richard Pryor Superman movie. There's this thing. Richard Pryor's a computer programmer, and then he gets like possessed by his computer, but all the wires just start like asphyxiating him, going into his nose and mouth and ears, and it's horrifying. As a kid, I was like, I don't ever want to see this movie again.
That happened in Monster High, too.
Really?
Yeah. Computer nerd kid who was playing the video games became that computer. He had the computer monitor for his head in the basketball game, and he all went.
Wow, it's been a long time since I've seen that movie.
That's a goodie.
I need to see it again. Okay. So, Warden kicks Catherine out again.
Who cares?
And of course
Kick her out of this movie.
Exactly. They tear through the cells looking for a motive or a confession.
By tearing through, they just tear the place apart. They just break everybody's everything. And what are they looking for? The mystery tool you use to strap a man to The ceiling wires?
There was a funny payoff to this where he was like, "We haven't found anything except for these 175 shivs."
Yeah.
Like they're just like, "This is what we found," and they just dump shivs everywhere.
I'm just wondering what they were expecting to find. Like, what?
A confession?
Bloody clothes maybe or something? I don't know.
Yeah, there's nothing they could have found.
How to hell raise your fellow prisoner.
I mean, it's also another example of how he's going insane.
Yeah.
Where you're like, dude, there's pipes through him. Mm-hmm. Like, you think somebody cut all those pipes and put them through him in different ways and pulled him apart? You don't, like, if you had a serial killer there, but none of these guys, they all seem like car thieves and like
sexy car thieves.
They all seem like a bunch of sexy car thieves. Yeah. So this is the moment that was like out of a 20s movie as opposed to a modern movie where he's like, "All right, everybody out, and you bring your mattresses out into the."
And this is just another one of those parts where I hated, where I was just like, "Oh man, I don't want everybody losing their beds. They already live in crap. They just got their checkerboards and guitars smashed. Yeah. Now I gotta watch them set their beds on. Oh man."
Yeah, everything that they value in their poor lives has been burned or smashed at this point. Yeah, the smashing the guitar and all that stuff. Bummer.
So then we just watch all of them get their beds set on fire, and then still nobody confesses because nobody did it.
Yep.
So they're just like, "All right, now take all your damn clothes off and stand out here overnight." Like, fuck, movie.
I can see how this
is torture shit.
It is. Yeah, no, it is. I mean, it's weird because I feel like I've seen enough prison movies that it's like, okay, this is kind of the thing. This is, this is how they treat you in these movies. And again, all those movies are like not from the 20s, but like set in the 20s or 30s or 40s or whatever.
You say just didn't do that Reform School Girls thing and just bring a cat in to kill for no reason.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Wow, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
All right, if nobody confesses, I'm killing 50 cats.
That's right. Yeah. Catherine wants to shut down the prison for some reason. I don't know why. She's got some issues. Everybody's been standing in their underwear all night, and finally, Croesus falls down, and Ted's dad steps on his hand because he's a piece of shit. He's a bad man and a racist and a bad racist. He's all of those things. And they're like, "Listen, you're starting to get to the point where you're committing hate crimes. Yeah. You take a break, knucklehead.
Go get a coffee."
It happens to us all. We just get a little overtired and start committing hate crimes. It's all part of being a cop. Yeah. Anyway, go get a coffee. And so he does go get a coffee.
You're going to offend all of our cop listeners.
I'm sorry, cop listeners. I know that there are plenty of good cops out there. I do actually, honest to God, believe that. So,
yeah, they're the ones that listen to our show.
Literally the only good police officers are the ones that listen to our show. No. I have met plenty of very nice cops. Okay, so he goes inside for a nap and some coffee at the same time. He goes for a coffee nap and porn.
And a drink.
Coffee, drink, nap, porn.
Yep, all at once.
He does all of these things. He falls asleep, and I love this about our ghost here. You don't get this in a lot of movies. This ghost that is very bold. You would have to say that this is a very bold, murderous ghost. The one that filled a guy full of pipes.
Yeah.
Every time fucking Ted's dad wakes up, he's like, "Whoop, I'm gonna hide." Like he starts going. So there's a bunch of barbed wire in this shack. And he starts unwinding it. The ghost starts unwinding it. And then the guard wakes up. He's like, whoop, stops. He's like, okay, I'm going back to sleep. Goes there, and then starts unwinding it. And then once he's got enough out there, he goes full on like Final Destination with this thing where you're you think that he's going to wrap him up right away, just like strangle him to death.
It's like, no,
I'm going for his shotgun first.
I'm gonna fire a shotgun with my sentient barbed wire.
Yep.
This ghost got skills.
Yeah, he misses him, so not that great. But I don't think he wanted to kill him. I think he wanted
you try possessing barbed wire and shooting a shotgun with it.
Okay.
It ain't easy.
I'm sure it isn't, but it looks amazing.
Yeah.
The whole thing looks incredible. So he ducks the bullet somehow, and then the ghost is like, well, then screw this. I'm just going to tie you up.
I'm just going to Hellraiser you up completely.
Completely Hellraisers the guy, binds him to the chair, and he's just bleeding and screaming and just completely barbed wired. And he looks like he's in an electric chair because they've covered his eyes and they've covered his mouth, and it's like, it works
then this
really well.
This kill just goes to Cuckoo Town.
I mean, this is why this movie is next level for me, is these things. And this moment where you're like, well, that was really intense what just happened.
Yep.
And then the barbed wire slingshots him through the ceiling and into the office of the warden, where the warden is at his desk, and he presents this guy who looks like he's been executed in an electric chair, wrapped in barbed wire, right in front of him.
And unlike Eddie Furlong, this warden is spooked out and freaked out by this
moment. This moment affects him for some reason. He's like, I can't help but think that this was addressed to me, the guy that executed someone in an electric chair who didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
It's the balls on this guy to not just be like, well, I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Taking an early retirement.
I've seen enough.
You guys can get a new warden.
No, I love how he calls his guard up there by breaking his own window. It's like, oh, hey, get up here.
Check this out. This is really cool. There's this guy up here in a chair and whatever.
It's pretty gross and gnarly. You should really come check it out.
Dude, it's like a gore zone issue up here.
I was just reading about prison in the newest issue of Fango. That's what the guard should have been. Guard should have been reading Fango.
They would have gotten a better review.
Yep. That's how you do it.
Okay.
And then the warden would have been like, whoa, get up here. Something looks like it's just out of Hellraiser.
But okay.
Also available from New World Video.
Yeah. Okay, so he's the warden is either like completely insane, in denial, or whatever is going on, because not only is he bound up to look like he's in an electric chair and has inexplicably, clearly, supernaturally shot through the floor when he was the only person there and is the only person who could have been there. He's also holding the crucifix.
Yeah.
Come
then
on.
He's like, okay, I gotta do cavity searches on everybody and find out who did this.
Okay. One of you has a pneumatic catapult up your ass.
Exactly. I'm gonna get to the bottom of this by getting to your bottom.
Who has a 20-ton crane secreted under their mattress? Why, you got no mattress?
Nobody's got mattresses.
Shit.
Yeah.
Maybe it's dressed up as an inmate.
You hiding this crane behind this Rambo poster?
Yeah. Okay. So, Croesus, while this is all going on, Croesus steals a gun from one of the...
This was weird. I didn't get this scene.
I liked it. What do you mean?
Like, what was he going to do? Or what was his plan? And then he shoots himself in the foot.
His plan was first to bring out the warden, and I think he was like... He just wanted to see what was going on, and he was like, he saw the warden. He was like... Well, yep, you're as scared as I am. You know what's going on. Ever since this boy showed up, you've been terrified. And he's like, a man would be crazy to want to stay here. And then he points the gun down at his foot, shoots it. The idea being that he thinks that he's injured himself enough that they're going to call an ambulance and get him off the premises.
Oh, okay. That was what that was.
And then the warden being the
Is he new to
dick face
prison?
that he is... He is.
They ain't gonna take you out of prison for a foot injury.
Yeah, I mean, no, they're not. I mean, this place, because they don't have anybody except for Catherine, who's working in the infirmary.
Why is she working in the infirmary?
She wasn't. She just happened to be there.
Oh, okay.
And she was like,
And you're like, oh, you're a female. You must be a nurse, too.
I think that's literally what happened, was they were like, you must be the nurse person who is literally in charge of us. Like, she's on the board of directors of the fucking prison.
There is no medical staff at this place.
There's no medical staff.
Makes sense.
That's fine. Okay, so let's see. They go into total lockdown. Vigo yells at the warden. He's like, you get him an ambulance. And he's like, you in the hole. And so Vigo gets sent to the hole. And I think he gets sent in completely naked too, which was very strange. Like, I think they took his underpants away. It seemed like it was in the scene, but so riot gear, full lockdown on the facility, and in the middle of the lockdown, the lights go out. They can't even activate the magnetic locks now.
Yep.
So they're like, hey guys, this lockdown ain't gonna work. Maybe it's time to go and riot.
We're gonna handcuff everybody individually to their beds now.
That's a lot of handcuffs, but I guess they probably have them.
I was wondering about that.
I mean,
Do you have one set of handcuffs per priz? I mean,
you probably would have
probably
to.
Would.
You'd have to
think about it.
In a situation where there's a
true. Yep. That makes sense.
Potential for a riot like this. Yeah, absolutely. So this is where they start doing the West Side Story stuff, where they're just like throwing
bed sheets. Like, no, we're revolting.
Yes, sure are. Anyway. So
anyway, during the riot, just watch the guy on the ground floor with the blanket. This guy just throws a blanket up, catches it, throws it up again, catches it. I'm just like, what?
I like him.
Blanket dude rules.
When the cops break out the tear gas and the riot gear. But it was also pretty obvious from moment one, I mean, just from the way that they cast this movie, that there are not enough cops to take care of this situation.
Oh, yeah.
So it looks like things are going bad, but cops shove everybody back in the cells.
They get him, yeah.
They apparently they had
somehow
enough.
Pull it off.
They had enough cops to push Tiny Lister in there, and also Tiny Lister, hilarious moment with him and the riot cops, where like they're all underneath his armpit. The cops that are like, they're in full riot gear, but he could just like lean his elbow on all of their heads. He's just fucking massive compared to these guys. I'm sure that they probably chose smaller guys just to make it look cooler, but crazy. Okay, so the Santeria guy or whatever goes, we're all gonna die for sure, which is great. His performance, he goes all in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not good, but it's great. Yeah. Like, if he was left to his own devices, he probably would have acted normally. But I'm sure the director was like, no, go bigger, go bigger, go bigger, go bigger, go bigger. And he goes,
go 80s voodoo guy.
Jesus, sweat more and and act crazier. And he does a great job.
And so his goal here is to what? Summon the creature that he feels lives here?
Yeah, he says that there's a bad kana, there's a kana or a bad spirit going around killing everyone, and the only way to stop it is to find out what it wants. So he's going to summon it to find out what it needs so that it can be put to rest.
Okay.
And that's his idea. So we go back to your favorite part of the movie, Catherine in her hotel room.
Yeah, playing on her computer.
No, she's just getting out of the shower that they didn't.
Awesome.
Clock radio turns on. What? TV turns on. What?
Whoa.
She's getting ADHD ghost. He's like doing 6 things at once, bruh.
I do like the old commercial for the Mustang on the TV.
That was good. Her computer turns on and starts displaying crazy crap, and then we get like a Tandy logo of 1964 popping up. That's
an important date.
It is. She's like, I wonder what that means. It also prints out 1,000,000 times on her dot matrix printer. So the warden's sitting at his desk polishing his bullets, and he tells his second in command to arm all of the guards, which is
10 of them?
Insane. The reason that you don't arm guards isn't because you don't want them to kill someone. It's because it's easy for the fucking inmates to take your gun and start killing you. But luckily for them, literally every person here is a great person because they would never do that. No. There isn't a single inmate here who would do it, with the exception of one. There's only one inmate here who's willing to shoot a guard. And it's because he's had a lifetime of experience with these assholes.
We talking Croesus?
Croesus, of course. He's the only person that kills a guard on this whole movie.
Oh, that's right. He does do that.
He does. It's too late for him anyway, he realizes. He's like, I'll take as many of these motherfuckers as I can. So Catherine finds out the backstory from some wise old librarian or something who tells her that in 1964 a convict was executed for killing another prisoner. He was the last convict executed there. He shows her the paper, and it looks just like Vigo.
So the last convict to be executed there was executed for killing a prisoner there, but he was executed wrongly?
Yes. I mean, I guess he doesn't say that they were wrongly accused. Did I say that? If I did, I was wrong.
No, the movie does say that he was wrongly.
Yes,
right?
No. He was executed for killing a fellow prisoner. The reason, so what happened is the warden killed this person and then blamed it on a prisoner, and then he was convicted based on Croesus's testimony, and Croesus testified because the warden basically put the strong arm on him to back up his story and said, "Hey, I'll give you special treatment, whatever else."
Oh, that's a cool backstory. I wish they would made that clearer so I could have understanded it.
Well, that is the deal. So,
I don't know how you got that out of this.
I think it's pretty much explained, but
it was a big pet peeve of mine. I mean, maybe I'm just I'm not super smart.
Well,
but
no,
like,
I think you just weren't paying attention to him in bed, because the moment when the warden comes in and talks to Croesus, when Croesus is in bed with his gunshot wound, he basically spells that whole thing out.
Okay.
Like, the whole deal where the warden's like, "Why do you think you got so much special treatment over the years?" He's like, Croesus says, "Oh, he's coming to get us for what we did," and he's like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think he pretty much spells the whole thing out.
Okay, I remember that scene, yeah, but it didn't really, I need to be shown things in a flashback.
Fair. Okay.
Visual person.
Yeah.
God, I hate talking in movies.
No, but it is true, though. I mean, this movie does not do a lot of, explanation via flashback or via visual stuff.
Yep.
Considering what a ridiculously visual person Rennie Harlan is with his filmmaking. Yeah. He tends to go big with, beautiful visuals. I still wonder how much money this movie cost. I'm sure that I could look it up, but it's
I think I looked it up and it was $4 million.
Jesus Christ. That is cheap as hell.
Yeah.
This movie looks so good.
But they didn't have to buy any sets.
Exactly.
Really.
But it's just super smart.
Yep.
And I love Rennie Harlan. I think he's a great director, and I like
I was looking up his filmography, and I think this and Nightmare was the only things I saw.
Am I crazy?
Nightmare 4.
Did he marry
You're asking the wrong dude.
Shit. I can't remember. Oh, forget it. Doesn't matter. I thought that he married a famous actress and then made Cutthroat Island with her, and then with Gina Davis, and then it ruined his career. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way.
Yeah, I mean,
I certainly have never seen Cutthroat Island.
I haven't either. I looked at its filmography and I recognized a lot of titles, but yeah, I think this and Nightmare 4 were the only things I've seen.
I love Nightmare 4.
Me too.
Okay. We got Santeria guy doing a big ceremony. He takes some broken glass, cuts a big gash in his chest.
Of course he does.
He's acting the shit out of this. Vigo pulls down the vent in his little cell in his whatever it is, and he starts fashioning a lockpick out of it because he is the master of unlocking, just like Jill Valentine.
I know that reference.
Resident Evil reference.
I got that one.
Nice.
Finally.
For some weird reason, we got the Santeria guy, and he's summoning the evil spirit. He wants to ask it what it wants, and it doesn't really show up to him. It basically just shines a big light on his chest and blows a huge hole through him, like Predator style. Like he really gets Jesse Ventura'd.
Yeah.
in this scene. So looks great.
Yeah, definitely.
So this clearly has pissed off this spirit. Whatever he just did was the wrong move because the spirit is now batshit and he just starts electrocuting people willy-nilly.
Yep, throwing guards off balconies.
Oh my god, that guard does a full-on railing kill. He
Yep.
does like a straight-up canon action movie railing fall. Awesome. Vigo is now Vigo has broken out and he Superman punches a guard, which was hilarious. He like full on flying punch in the face and then steals his clothes. He breaks into an office and he's like, "Whoa, this computer is calling to me. I have a..." He's clearly got some sort of connection to this ghost because they look the same. So he gets close to the computer and it's going to tell him something. JK, it explodes. Just like everything else, it fucking explodes. So the Catherine's computer also explodes, and but not before it prints out "The prison dies tonight" a bunch of times.
All I could think of was Halloween Kills when I saw it. Prison dies tonight. The prison dies tonight.
The prison dies tonight.
And like, what? So is that what the ghost is doing right now? He's like chanting that to her.
I mean, listen, that's always we've talked about this before, but that's the hilarious ghost thing. It's like, so what is the ghost doing?
And why are you telling her? And why do you think she can't?
Can the ghost program in BASIC?
Yeah.
Like, why does he know how to make this print out? What process is he using as a ghost to print shit out on a dot matrix printer?
Why was this ghost imprisoned in this wall anyway? Seems like he can travel through electricity and everything. Why didn't he travel through the wires of that electric chair? And now he can just leave jail too and go fuck around in hotel rooms.
I mean, so you know what this movie could have used? It could have used the warden talking to the Santeria guy. I think that the warden, knowing that he was like a priest or something like, and if his name was like Priest, and he was known to be this famous Santeria practitioner or whatever, and he was kind of notorious around the place. The warden goes to him and he's like, "You know what happened. How can I make this stop?" And he's like, "You've got to get... Did you take something from the scene? Do you have something? If you have something, he could be haunting you."
Yep.
You know, if you have a possession of his," and he's like, "Well, I have his crucifix. You need to get it back to the place where he's interred." Cool, I'm going to smash a hole in this wall and get it and put it, which he does.
Yep. Okay.
That was what he did. But we don't know why he did it.
Yeah.
Like, if he had been talking to this religious guy where you're like, "Oh, he knows shit about spirits because that's his deal. He's a demonologist or he's a whatever." And then he goes in there and he's like, "Oh, unless he's a..." And they're like, turns out, "Oh yeah, if he's... I mean, but he's probably not one of these." "Oh shit, he's one of these."
He's one of these. He can go anywhere and he doesn't even care about getting his necklace back.
Turns out he didn't want that at all. Turns out it's a different necklace every time you shoot it because sometimes it's on a link chain and sometimes it's on one of those really tight chains.
Turns out he just wants to learn programming.
Yes, he's really excited about your Apple IIe.
He signed away for a course from ITT Tech.
Yes. Okay, so inmates try to get out, and one of the only remaining guards at this point, because most of the guards have been frizzle fried or knocked out by Vigo, he's basically the last guy left, and he's got a shotgun, and he's trying to hold 50-ish inmates at bay. Tiny Lister moves everybody back against the wall, and he's like, "Hey, everybody shut the fuck up." He's the only person that everybody's going to listen to because nobody's going to fuck with him. And he starts talking to the guard, and he's like, "Hey, John," or whatever his name is. He's like, "Listen, we know you. Don't do this. Don't be a fucking asshole. We need to get out of here. You're one of us. You need to get out of here with us. Come on, man. Don't be like this." And the guy is a panicky... I mean, you look at the guy... He's on his last nerve, and he's not using proper trigger technique, and he's clearly going to accidentally shoot somebody, and he does. But it's a scatter gun, so it doesn't blow a hole through Tiny, and also Tiny's a superhuman.
And then we get that awesome chest pounding, like,
where he's just like, that really pissed me off, and he gets up and he throws the guard.
I wish he threw him somewhere, though. I thought the throw was anticlimactic, because the guard like got knocked out when he fell down, but like we just saw guards flying off balconies. This one's just like,
I think it was enough that it took his aggression out, and you got the catharsis of him smacking the guy against a wall, but not so much that it took away the message that these guys are at heart not trying to kill anybody. They're just like, they're trying to live their lives.
Now that I think about it, if you get thrown from over Tiny's head, you're still falling quite the ways to the ground.
I mean,
even on the same level.
Very easily, if he bounced off some bars, he probably broke his neck on the way down. But whatever. Tiny's too injured to move, and so they ditch him. They have to leave him behind, because who the fuck's carrying Tiny Lister out of there? Nobody. In the infirmary, the warden and Croesus have that conversation I was talking about.
Yep.
He says that Charlie's here, and he's there to kill them both. Croesus watched the warden kill somebody, and then he sent an innocent man to the electric chair. So he was a witness. I guess that was the other part of this, was that Croesus was witness to the killing. Because he says that outright. He says, I watched you kill a man.
Okay.
And then I lied about it, and this is the punishment that I deserve, or whatever. So, unsurprisingly, the warden is not cool about this and decides to kill Croesus. He does that by twisting his foot wound until it opens back up again, and he just leaves him to bleed to death. So, gross.
Yeah.
Gross and painful and horrible. Very on brand for this dude. But turns out Vigo was right behind him, and he starts choking the warden with a piece of rope or something, and throws Croesus the keys and says, we're getting out of here.
And Croesus is like, yeah, my foot's done bleeding, I guess. Let's go.
He's like, well, we find out later it wasn't done bleeding. It's been bleeding a lot this whole time. He's just got a lot of oomph in him for a guy that's slowly bleeding to death.
It's all the years of drinking Lysol.
I mean, he doesn't have a single bacteria in his body, so he's immune to infection.
Lemon fresh.
The gangrene tried to get in, but it was just like, oh God, jeez, too lemony fresh.
What have been doing? Drinking Lysol.
Okay. Oh my God, yes. So Rhino and Lasagna are going out to the yard. They're going to check the gun towers. They were the first. They were like, who's going to go out? I'm not going out. You go out. I'm going with you. It was a really funny exchange. Okay. So Rhino and Lasagna go out to check the guards. There's nobody in the guard tower, so what could possibly go wrong?
No, ghost possessing a machine gun?
Damn it. Didn't think about that. Okay, so Ghostbusters Lightning goes onto the guns once they decide to go out into the yard, and it mows down Lasagna. Goodbye, Lasagna. Goodbye, sweet Lasagna. Flights of angels.
Oh, Lasagna.
Sing thee to thy rest.
And then everybody runs back inside to shut the gate, but they close out Rhino.
And the person who closes Rhino out is the one who was his abuse victim.
Yep.
And so
that was good.
Yeah, he's locking it, and he's like, they're gonna kill him, and he's like, fuck him. And then we watch a pickaxe fly and impale Rhino through the back. He dies.
Yep.
Dead.
Good riddance.
Good fucking riddance. All right.
Vigo's marching the warden through.
Yep. Vigo's marching the warden through with Croesus, and the number one guard shows up. The big boss guard.
Yep.
He shows up at the end of the hallway with a shotgun. And he's like, hey, you're not going anywhere. And Croesus comes around the corner with a handgun and is like,
he got somewhere.
You're not going anywhere. Pew, pew. The warden had it. I think it was the warden's gun. And he's like, fuck you. Shoots the guy. He manages to survive being shot a bunch of times and also gets an extra shot off and gets Croesus in the shoulder.
Yep.
So the murdering warden also calls Croesus a murderer at this point, which is fun irony. Catherine drives through the gate, and the ghost wastes all of its ammunition on trying to get her and doesn't think to go to the other tower, which it does later. But
it's learning.
It is.
Just came back out.
It's true. He's getting better all the time. Croesus, Vigo, and the warden meet her in the yard. And what happens here?
There's this weird skip part of dialogue where they're just like, "We gotta get out of here."
Yes.
And the warden's like, "No." Then he's like, "Who do you want to believe, me or him?"
Yeah, she pretty much instantly is like, you know what? I hate this warden, so any criminal is better than the warden.
Yep.
I mean, she's right, but it still seems weird that she would jump to that conclusion. The ghost closes the gate, which again, middle of the night, why is the gate open? What is the point of this? That is insanity. But it was, and okay, so Vigo apparently knows how to operate this gate.
And he has to climb what, barbed wire to get to it? Was that barbed wire?
No, I think it was exposed wiring.
Oh, okay.
I
thought it was like barbed wire he was climbing up.
No, I think it tore out whatever the wires were that were connecting the mechanism, so it couldn't work anymore.
Because we see that mechanism work in the beginning. Well, yes. I mean, we see it, not Vigo, but
yeah, but the ghost has shorted it out so that it won't work again. I think.
No, the guard has to manually crank it. That's what happened when the bus got stolen.
Oh, is that true?
We see like a guard like cranking it to shut it really fast. Yeah, it's not electric.
Totally cranking it. Bro, just sitting up in that guard tower cranking it. So, yes, he does. He gets up there. Another gun comes to life. These things are like, I'm not a gun guy, but that's like a 40 caliber fucking machine gun. That would have taken another man's leg off. But this, of course, this is Strider. So it's just
my
like,
calf.
Oh, boy, this is inconvenient.
Yeah.
And he
better
continues
keep climbing.
Yeah. That's like the machine gun that Rambo used in that second to last Rambo movie where he's on the back of the Jeep and just like incinerating people, and it's
like the poster came to life.
They're just turning into powder. So yeah, not probably what would have happened. But anyway, he gets the control, opens it while screaming. I guess something's going on. I don't know why he's screaming. Maybe
I'd be screaming. Do you see what's going on?
You know what? This whole time I would be screaming. Of course. Catherine busts out dramatically because she finds a wooden door to go through somehow. Don't know what that was. Vigo climbs down the cyclone fencing on the side. He falls down the last 3 feet because it's dramatic to do that, I guess. Catherine goes to help him, and nobody has noticed that Croesus has died sitting up.
While pointing a gun at the warden.
Yep. The warden's like, poke, poke.
Oh, you did.
Oh, you're dead. You do have a lot of holes in you, and you're an old man, so this does stand to reason that you would be dead. So he takes his gun back, and doesn't really take very good aim. He tries to just kill both Catherine and Vigo at the same time. He misses. Gun runs out of bullets, and he's like, oh, shit. So he steals the car.
I'm out of here.
Drives off, which is a smart move. You know, so far he has not made that move. So it was surprising that he did not, that he did it at this point. So he goes out and lightning strikes in front of him, and just the most ungodly badass thing happens. The electric chair shows up with the executed prisoner in it, full ghoul, like everything's gray. He's like a rotted corpse of the executed man. And he just appears and barbecues the car and kills the warden. That moment looks so incredible. Mm-hmm. That is just such so many of these types of movies. You're like, wow, what a cool thing that happened. What another cool thing that happened. And then the last thing that happens, you're like, well, that's a letdown. You know, like, oh, everything happened and then you buried the bones and the thing went back or whatever. You know, like, it's never like the actual crisis moment of the movie is never the big deal, and this is just insane.
Yep.
It looks So good. Can't say enough. But then Catherine and Vigo limp off into the sunset
in the
as the
Wyoming
camera
desert, I guess.
focuses on the crucifix. I mean, he goes back to prison, I assume, right after this.
We don't know. Yeah.
Catherine's now a felon. I don't know. They're probably going to get blamed for killing the warden.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Movie ends. Yep.
Movie ends, but it's definitely it has that feeling of a chainsaw ending where you're like, well, yeah, but at this point, everybody's totally fucked.
Yeah.
So,
all right, maybe I like this movie more than I thought. I don't hate it.
yeah, I straight up love this movie.
I just wish there was more fun to it. There's
there's
not very many jokes or humor or like.
It definitely feels like they dropped the ball a couple times, and I think that probably having a director who English is not his first language, I mean, he didn't write the script. It was written by Erwin Yablans, right?
I think so. Yes,
the Halloween producer.
Guy. Yeah.
And so and that was also like that was Erwin's idea. I think was like he saw his first Finnish movie and was like, "Hey, this guy's amazing. I'm gonna get him over here," and that was his first big break, was doing this thing. Yeah,
it's just a little too dry for my interests, and I've gone over my dislikes. A little too dry, a little too much extra stuff that could have been chopped, including that whole character we've.
And I also see how it could be a little hateful too, where it's just like because again, it is punching down to a certain extent. I mean, it's not. It's telling a story of the way that things are in the real world as it pertains to people who are in prison. Mm-hmm. So as that stands, of course it's punching down. It's going to be. It's
not going to be a feel-good movie, but like at the same time, like watching it doesn't. I like my horror fun and silly for the most part. This was just a little more heavy than I would typically be.
Yeah, no, it is a little more heavy. I feel like the inclusion of the totally ridiculous things like lasagna and like all of the ridiculous names. There's just a bunch of ridiculousness in the movie that keeps it from being too bogged down with like sadness and like the kind of horror that exists in an actual prison. Mm-hmm. And again, the fact that when they're out of their cells, it looks like they're doing a production of West Side Story. So
what else are you gonna do in prison?
I mean, can you imagine? Amazing. That would be great. Anyway, yeah. So that's it. That's Prison. Rennie Harlin's masterpiece. And Matt hates it slightly less after talking about it.
Yep.
Good.
I don't hate it. I will admit it's a good movie. Like, I'm not saying it's a garbage movie. I'm just saying it's not my cup of tea for the most
I get
part.
it. I totally get it. And I definitely, I agree with you. Listen, I love street trash as much as the next person, but there's an issue with punk rock culture, and I think we all have to kind of come to grips with it. And it makes me sad to realize that we have to come to grips with it, but it's like, this shit that was like, oh, it's really cool. You know this guy. He's like a real wife abuser. Or like, you're like, oh, what? There were things that were like this, like people who were just like awful human beings who that was like part of their outlaw persona in the 80s and 70s. Mm-hmm. And it's like people just kind of look over it. And it's like, no, they're really bad people. And like the idea of like things that were celebrated in fictional worlds as well, where you're like, oh, look, it's this gritty whatever. And it's like, yeah, this is also sad. I mean, like, basically a homeless exploitation movie, like Street Trash.
It's genuinely just kind of icky to me.
I don't know if it can fly in this world. Yeah. Like I don't know that I can watch it. I haven't seen it since I saw it as a youngin', And I just knew it as this thing that was just a bunch of crazy people making a crazy movie.
Oh, it is crazy. And that's another thing. I don't think it's a bad movie.
No.
It's just not for me. I'm not a big fan.
You know what we should do? We should do the better street trash, Slime City.
I've never seen that, actually.
I love that movie.
Okay.
And basically because it's a bunch of people in an apartment building that are going through the same thing.
Okay.
And some of the effects like go really low budget. The Thing, like they try to Rob Bottin a bunch of stuff because there's actually like a severed head that's kind of moving on its own and doing some crazy shit. And instead of Viper, it is Himalayan yogurt. I remember. Like, I got some Himalayan yogurt. And so
I'll do that.
Because that was the deal. The two of them, it was like two people who were working on street trash.
Yep.
And then they got into a fight or something, and like one of them left. It was like, fuck this. He went and made Slime City, and the other guy went and made street trash.
Oh, neat.
So I think Slime City's a fun nonsense movie.
Cool.
Yeah, at some point. I don't know if I'm feeling it this week, but yeah, at some point we should do it. Yeah, that's it.
If you want to watch Street Trash, it's going to be playing tomorrow on the Video Vagrants YouTube channel.
Exactly.
Friday night movie.
You can make up your mind as to whether this is an appropriate thing anymore. That we can
starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern.
That we can ignore the fact that there are real people who are suffering and that are being represented in this kind of lighthearted, playful almost way. Yeah, I don't know.
I picked Brain Scan last week.
Fucking A, man.
This wasn't mine. But, yeah.
You really got me to like Brain Scan.
Because it's awesome.
It's pretty awesome. It is pretty awesome. Hey, I bought it for the podcast, so I now own a copy of it.
Sweet.
Because I was like, ugh, I can't find this anywhere. I think there's a shitty transfer on YouTube or something, and I was like, nah. I got to get this. Yep. I remember loving this movie. Fuck it.
Nice.
It was like, it cost as much as like a ticket to the movies, so I was like, of course I'm going to own this. Cool. That's it. And thank you for listening. Rate and review us on iTunes and Google Play and et cetera, et cetera.
Buy yourself a cool t-shirt at coastcitycomics.com.
Do it. Shop at coastcitycomics.com. Follow us at the Funbox Monster Podcast. Do all of those things. And Matt?
I'm Matt Awkward VHS Fiend on the Instagrams, and make sure you check out the Video Vagrants group on Facebook for lots of fun stuff there.
You should do all of those things. Please do it. Thank you so much, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Good night.